And if you're new tonight, welcome. And please, when you log on to say hi or in the chat, please tell me where you're from. I'm going to be taking down names tonight, and we will do a drawing between 7:30 for a free bag of for training treats. So this is the freeze-dried chicken that I just keep in my office. And hi, Julie. And so if there's a flavor that you haven't tried yet, now's your chance to try one. Or you can get a free bag of your favorite ones. So, Julie, how humid is it in New York right now? It is really hot here, like really hot. And I talked to Devin yesterday, who's one of the owners of Pupford, and he actually lives in Manhattan, and he says it does get pretty hot, but the humidity is bad, which is where I would struggle, is with humidity. Jade and I were outside in the sun pretty much all day today. First, we had a client with a new rescue dog, and he wanted me to bring my dog, and they played and played and played and played. And usually his dog has been leash reactive with other dogs. So, which he didn't tell me that at the beginning, or I would have let Jade just jump out of the car. However, they met and did great. We took him to, I found a dog park. Hi, Karen. I found a dog park that I didn't know existed. That's about 15 minutes from my house, and there are never any dogs there. So I'm not a fan of dog parks, but this is a place that we could go and let the dogs run like off leash, practice recall. My dog and Jake. So it was funny. We had a Jade and a Jake. And a lot of people call Jake, because they say, oh, he's so cute. And I'm like, it's a girl. And they say, what's her name? Jade. Jake? No, Jade. I mean, we've had this, probably do this 3 or 4 times a day because she goes everywhere with me. But they were playing, and I actually videotaped it because the guy said, I wish my wife could be here because she freaks out and thinks that this is too rough and that they're fighting. And I said, oh no, this is really good play. I mean, they play rough. They played rough. My dogs play rough. So, but it was really good play. We did do some training as well. And then we went to the Summit County Fair, and when my little cousin who lives with us part-time wanted to take Willy Wonka, my foster dog, the one with wheels, the one that's in a wheelchair, has a cart, and wanted to go to Pet Fest, which is where kids from age 2 to 12 can go and show off their pet and do tricks and stuff. So Jade and I went just to practice for her service dog stuff, and which was really good, because if you've been to a county fair, you know that there's food all over the ground. And this, I have to tell you though, this Pet Fest was a trainer's nightmare, because they could bring pets. So there were dogs, cats, chickens. One guy had what's it called? Oh crap. It was so cool. It's not a porcupine. They're nocturnal, but it looks like it has little quills. Oh my gosh, the name just escaped me. There's a kids show about it, and the name is Sonic the Hedgehog. There was a hedgehog there. It was the cutest thing. Anyway, I'm like, oh my gosh, these hunting dogs are going to eat this chicken. Or some of these dogs are going to eat the kittens. And yes, hedgehog. And I could hear dogs like growling at each other, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, why do they have this? But it was a good event. And then when they grouped the kids according to age, and then they had them just do a little figure 8, and then they could do a trick. But I'm thinking, as I'm watching as a trainer, I'm thinking, okay, all of these dogs are pulling the kids down they had 2 cones set up. And then there was a great big American bulldog, and the kid had this dog on a prong collar. So I'm like, oh, I disqualify that one. Tight leash. Nope, that's not loose leash walking. The one girl that actually, I left before the prizes and stuff. So Rendon and Willy Wonka actually got second place. So that was cool. And they were both, and they had a look-alike thing too, like a look-alike contest. And so they were dressed up like football players, and we put a football jersey on Willie, and Willie loves to play football. Like, you should see him run after that football. So that was kind of their trick, as they played football. But yeah, and my cousin said, you should pass out business cards. I'm like, no kidding, because some of them were like dragging their dog, or the leash was really tight to get them to figure 8. And so they basically just had to do a figure 8 and then a trick, and that was it. But, you know, as a trainer, and I was watching the, like 7, what age was it? It was the older age, up to 12. So like 10 to 12 or 9 to 12. But there was like big hunting dogs, and then these little teeny puppies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, some puppy's going to get eaten. This is not going to be good. But it actually worked out really well. And, but Jade is crashed. She's been out in the sun all day, as have I. And it's been a long day. My afternoon ended up, I had 2 cancellations this afternoon. So that's why I was able to go to the fair and go to the Pet Fest and see. They had asked if they could take Willie in his cart. There's also a local kid that everybody knows. He's 11, and he has got CP. Wait, does he have cerebral palsy or cystic fibrosis? You know what? I can't remember. But he's in a wheelchair. So we got a picture of him with Willy Wonka, because he was just so in love with Willy Wonka, because Willy has wheels like him. And so we got a picture of them together. It was really cute. So I'm glad I went, but we're kind of beat. And I look kind of haggard. That's why. It's because I've been out in the sun all day, and it's hot. I mean, it's so hot. It was in the 90s today. And I didn't have time to get totally cleaned up. But anyway, I'm glad you guys are here tonight, all 2 of you. Hopefully we'll get some more people on. Do you guys have any questions, training questions first? And if not, I'll try and think of something else to talk about. I'm actually in my office today instead of home, because I feel like when I do this at home, the lighting's not very good. I have a really old house. So when I do this from home, it's hard to get the lighting good, and the lighting's a little bit better here. So anyway, I just decided to come here instead. And I have company at my house, so I could not guarantee how quiet it was going to be at my house. So it's the other reason why I decided to do it here. So another cool thing that I can tell you guys is we started refilming some of the Pupford videos. So Monday we did the leash walking course, and we redid potty training. The 2 reasons is I'm really big on continuing ed. I love to do continuing ed. And so I always learn new things that then I'm like, oh, this would be good, or this would be good. And then they hired a professional videographer, although Devin did an outstanding job, filming better than I could have ever done. But this guy does it professionally. So they wanted to redo it. And so I was all for it. So we're going to redo a lot of them. I don't think all of them, but we're definitely going to our next one is going to be the reactive dog course. So we're going to be redoing that and hopefully getting some better video of some of the techniques and stuff. So hi, Dorit. And Dora, if you want to tell me where you're from, I can enter you in the drawing for the treats. But I will answer your question as well. Getting a new puppy in a few weeks, do you recommend leaving an open crate with pee pads overnight in a contained area? The way that I usually do it is Colorado. Awesome. I mean, yeah, you could do it. You could do it that way. With the pee pads in the contained area, not in the crate. Okay, sorry. It has been a long day. Yes, that is totally fine. The way that I usually do it when I have puppy board and trains is I don't use the pee pads, because one of the things that they're paying me to do is potty train their dog, because they don't want to do it. So I put them in the crate, and then I get up like 2 times during the night when they start to whine, and I take them outside to go potty, reward them, and then they go back in the crate. However, there are like if you're in an apartment or condo or something like that, and it's hard, in the middle of the night, you don't want to go down 5 flights, then I use the open crate with the pen area and the potty pads. Sometimes, and I've read this on the Pupford group as well, that sometimes the puppies will chew up the potty pads. So they think it's a game and they chew them up and then they make a mess. Also, as soon as you can, you want to do away with the potty pads and start to teach the dog to go outside. If you're just doing it at night so that like you can sleep, that's one thing. But my opinion is then it teaches the dog to go in the house, to go inside. So then they're not looking, or they're not learning how to go outside. So I would do it at first, and then as soon as you can, as soon as your dog is sleeping through the night, then I would start to transition to go outside. And just like, especially during the day, like, do you need to go potty, and then go potty outside. So that's what I would do. But yeah, the way that you're doing that, to begin with, is totally fine to do that. The open crate, and then you can have like food and water on one side, pee pads on the other, and then keep the crate door open. So yeah, that's totally fine. Travis, thank you for asking. I totally forgot about all this last week. So she actually has made a huge turnaround. Like Wednesday. So last Wednesday, I was ready to call the vet and have her put down, and then she got up, and then after last Wednesday, 2 more days, like she was down for 15 hours, didn't get up, and then I came home once to check on, was still on the couch, came home the second time, and she was outside. And then Friday, one of my other cousins came to stay the night, and she got up, didn't cry. And then I was upstairs showing them where they were going to stay, and she walked up the stairs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she did stairs. I've been sleeping downstairs on the couch so that she didn't have to walk up to the bedroom. And she's been up and walking around ever since. So it's like she's made like a complete turnaround. I mean, she is still 11 and she's moving slow. She's not running, but at least she's getting up. She's going outside. She's eating. I have a raised bowl for her. And for the past 2.5 weeks, I've had to like feed her wherever she's laying down. So yeah, thank you for asking. She's actually doing really well right now. I can't believe that we were one day away from having to say goodbye to her. And I think what happens sometimes is when she feels good, she overdoes it, or her acupuncturist said that she will sometimes, like, her back will seize up and then she can't move. And so it's like a few days of muscle relaxers and pain medicine. I also do massage. We do acupuncture. I do CBD oil. Not to like overdose her, but just anything to get her feeling better. And it's usually after like 24 hours, she starts to feel better. So Sunday, just this past Sunday, since she was feeling, was up and walking, after church, I took Jade and Maddie up to the Uintas. Big mistake on a Sunday because it's camping weekend for everybody. And I was trying to find water where we wouldn't have to walk very far because I didn't want Maddie to overdo it. And I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. So I took some video and pictures of her. So I took them up to the lake so that Maddie could enjoy the water. Because I don't know how long this is going to last, where she can, I don't know if you can see that. So that's Maddie. And that's her at the lake, or not lake, it says stream. So I just wanted her to go up and enjoy the water. And let's see if I can find a picture of her in the water. I mean, she was smelling the trees, and there's kind of a picture of her in the water, if you can see that. So she had a great time. She didn't swim. Jade swam, but she got in and got her feet wet, and she's been moving around ever since. So I am very, very grateful because when I went down Monday to Pupford to refilm, and I was like, I cried all the way down there. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to film? And I'm a mess. And I had to like pull it together. And then it was good to get back into dog training mode because then I didn't think about it. But yeah, she's kind of pretty much back to normal for an 11-year-old. So I am very, very grateful and relieved. So thank you for asking. Okay, Karen has a question. I've been doing the clicker training for leash walks. She has developed a bad habit that I am sure I am somehow reinforcing. She will walk by my side nice as could be. As soon as I click and treat her, she'll then lunge forward till she has a tight leash, then come back to my side and walk nice again. Oh, interesting. I've never heard of a dog doing that. So when you give her the treat, are you giving her the treat like right by her side? Because some people will hold the treat out in front, and so the dog has to move forward to get it. I've tried clicking and treating as long as she's walking nice, but as soon as I stop, she'll lunge forward again. Yeah, so the only thing I would add to that, maybe to do different, is when she lunges forward, turn around and go the other way. So, when she's by your side, you click, treat, and actually, now that I think about it, we did this same thing today with somebody, a new client. So his new rescue would, I had him click and treat right when the dog was by his side. He'd click and treat, and then the dog would go forward. And so what I had him start to do was either stop and wait for a loose leash, but then we started to turn the other way. So if this is your dog and you click and treat right here, and then she lunges or like goes forward to tight leash, then you turn around and go the other way. And then when the dog goes to catch up with you, right when the dog's by your side again, you click and treat. Then if the dog goes out ahead of you again, you turn the other way. So it only took about 3 minutes. And this dog today was like, okay, my owner has no idea where he's going, so I'm just going to stick kind of by his side. And then every time I would have him like periodically click and treat for this dog staying by his side. And especially when the dog like looked up and checked in with him, I said, reward that, because we want an auto check-in. So yeah, I think you're doing everything right. Sometimes dogs get very savvy And I've seen this with like off and barking. So if you tell a dog off, like get off the counter, and then you click and treat, then a lot of times they'll jump back on the counter because they want to be told off again so that they get another treat. Same with barking. I'll do a quiet, and then they'll get a treat, and then they'll start to bark again so that they get another treat for being quiet. So if I think a dog is becoming savvy that way, then I don't treat every time. Then, another time I'll say, oh, good job, good quiet. So another thing you could do is when your dog goes forward and lunges forward, turn and go the other way. And then when your dog catches up, you could say, oh, good job. And then just like pet, praise, things like that. The other method that I use, and Karen, if you want to email me, I can send you my loose leash walking handout. The other one that I do, depending on the dog, is as I'm walking, I'll drop a treat like right in front of the dog. And so it gets the dog's nose focused to the ground instead of wanting to pull ahead. And this is the one that I use mostly for chronic pullers. So I drop treat, drop treat, drop treat. And then once the dog is like slowing down and their nose is to the ground because they know treats are going to fall, then I'll go like drop treat, go 2 steps, drop treat, go 2 steps. And then I'll do 3 steps, 5 steps, 10 steps. And then when I get to about, you can really do it with any number of steps, but sometimes since dogs want to pull ahead and sniff, I'll say, okay, we're going to walk from here to the tree. And which the dog doesn't understand what that means, but I pick a point, and then I'll say, like with me, and or your heel command or whatever you want to use. And then if the dog walks nicely to that area, then I'll say, oh, good job, good heel. And then I'll say, okay, go sniff. So you can use environmental rewards as well, because instead of always giving treats, it's like, oh, you did such a good job loose leash walking, so I'm going to let you go sniff the grass or sniff the snowbank or sniff whatever you want. So you can use that as a reward. So yeah, try those 2 things. I think you're doing everything right. I think your dog is just getting kind of savvy that if I'm walking, if I forge ahead and then come back, then I get another click and treat. So when she does the lunge forward, then I would turn and go the other direction. And then once she catches up and she's right by your side, you can click, drop it. And I would even drop the treat so she focuses her nose to the ground. And then start to raise the criteria. So then I would maybe like, okay, we're going to go 5 steps, and then I'll click and treat you. And then if your dog lunges ahead, then you're going to turn, and the dog catches up, and it's like, oh, yeah, you know what? You pulled, and now you're by my side, but I want you to not pull, so I'm not going to give you a treat this time. But if you can go 10 steps, then I'll give you a treat again. So now for the dog to earn the reward, she has to go like 10 steps, click and treat, and then go 10 more steps. And if she doesn't lunge forward, she gets another click and treat after another 10 steps. If she does lunge forward, then you're going to turn, change direction, and be like, oh, okay, we've got to go two sets of 10 steps for you to get the 2 treats. Does that make sense? So instead of clicking and treating every time she comes back and walks nice, she only gets the click and treat when she doesn't lunge ahead again after the treat. Like, I hope I'm making sense. It makes sense in my head, but that doesn't always mean that other people know what I'm talking about. And yeah, so continue to click and treat when she's walking nice, but maybe like start to space it out now. So do like every step, every 2 steps, every 5 steps. And I would, when I walked a really strong dog, and I would drop the treats mainly because he was such a hard, he would like almost take your hand off. And we were working on like gentle, but just so I could keep my fingers, as we were walking, I would drop the treat on the ground. So then he started to pay attention more because he's like, okay, I know a treat's coming soon. And then I would click, drop the treat, pull ahead. I would turn and go the other. Sometimes I would just do a circle because we were doing a loop around their neighborhood. So I would turn. So, if I dropped a treat and if he started to go ahead, I would turn and then we'd start our 10 steps over again. So we would do like a circle and it's like, oh, sorry, bud, you don't get anything for that. But let's do 10 more steps. And then as long as he didn't forge ahead, then he would get another click treat. And he was obsessed with sniffing snowbanks. So sometimes that was his reward to get to go sniff the snowbank. So yeah, let me know if that made sense. And if you want to email me, Karen, then I would be happy to send you my loose leash walking handout. But yeah, it sounds like you're doing everything right. Your dog's just getting savvy. Oh, so you're doing the turning. Okay, so one other thing that you could do is I will also so the other trainer that works with me, she calls this corralling. I will start doing left turns. So I walk Jade on my left, and then I will kind of exaggerate a left turn and like step in front of her with my left foot. So like let's see how I'm going to do this. Okay, so these are my feet. And if she starts to go ahead, I will take my left foot and go in front of her and we'll do big circles. And I will exaggerate with my left foot. And what that does is it teaches the dog to stay back behind your knee, because if the dog forges ahead, they run into your leg. So I take a pretty big left turn and then I'll just do big left circles, and I'll keep doing a circle until the dog's not pulling anymore and is staying right by my side. I do use a shorter leash for that because it obviously doesn't work if the dog's already way out in front of you. So I'll use a little bit shorter leash, but then as soon as the dog starts to go a little bit ahead of me, I step in front of him and we do a big left turn. Does that make sense? So you could also do that instead of, so when you click and treat, and if you think, okay, right after my dog gets the treat, she's going to forge ahead, be ready for her and give her the treat. And as soon as she takes a step out in front, step in front of her and do a left turn and just do a circle. And then once she's by your side again and focusing, then you can start going straight again. Does that make sense? I think that one's still on my handout too. So yeah, you can try. I do all of them. I mean, and it depends on the dog. I use the stop and go, probably not as much. I use the turn. I do the treat drop a lot for really strong dogs that like to pull because it slows them down. And then I do the left turn, just to get them like back kind of behind my leg. So yeah, you can try those too. Okay, Travis, this is also an issue with other dogs as well, even during play. Can't remember. Are you talking about like the getting clicker savvy? Or I can't remember exactly what I was talking about when you wrote that. So yeah, you might have to refresh my memory. I have over 50 brains, so I call it over 50 and COVID brain. I had COVID, and so my brain has not worked well since. Okay, Kelly. Oh, and Karen, she's only 16 weeks old. So yeah, you still have a puppy. So yeah, you still have plenty of time. And it's kind of normal for dogs to want to treat and then be like, oh, good, I got rewarded. Now I want to go sniff, or now I want to go do my own thing. So she still has puppy brain. So you still have plenty of time. I mean, Jade's almost 3 years old, and she still has times when she doesn't walk perfectly on leash, and I have to like remind her or change direction or do a left turn with her. And we've been doing it for a year. So I think if she's pretty much walking by your side most of the time at 16 weeks, I think you're doing really good. So yeah. Okay, Kelly. And Kelly, if you want to tell me where you're from, I will enter you into our drawing. Okay, how do you work on calming a dog when they get so excited when seeing another dog? Not even the best treats. So I'm assuming you're talking about on leash. So when you're walking and your dog's on leash and sees another dog, the first thing I do is I say, let's go. Because once your dog if your dog is so worked up that they can't take treats or listen to their name or do something easy like sit, watch me, then that means they're too close to the other dog. And so you need to increase distance. So then I say, oh, let's go. And we turn and go the other way. And then we work on impulse control. So, if your dog is friendly with other dogs and just gets excited because they want to go say hi, then after I change direction or say, let's go, I get them far enough away to where your dog can then focus and do some easy stuff like sit, touch, watch me. And then if your dog can listen and take treats, you can start at that spot. And then I would do the look at that game. And I can send you that handout as well. Just email me. Here, I'll put my email down here. It's Tracy with an I @pupford.com. And just tell me you want engage, disengage. So, we have 2 people. Oh, no. It's getting Colorado. So we have a Colorado and a Montana. It's funny. I have to write some of these states out because I can't remember my abbreviations. So once you get your dog at a space to where your dog can focus and pay attention and not get over threshold, then I play the look at that game. And so your dog looks at another dog and you click treat. And I do use a clicker for this because the sound of the click tells the dog, oh, a treat's coming. So a lot of times they'll look at a dog, and what we're marking is your dog staying calm and just noticing another dog without reacting. So the dog looks, you click and treat, and eventually your dog will hear the clicker and disengage and look away from the dog and be like, oh, I heard the clicker, where's my treat? And then eventually your dog will look at another dog and disengage on his own and be like, oh, there's another dog. I know what to do. I look at you and I get a treat. And I would set up scenarios. Hi, Anita. I would set up some scenarios to where you have like a full-size stuffed dog or a friend with a dog that could help. But make sure that the decoy dog's not reactive. And I would start at whatever space you need to start at to where your dog can take treats and focus on you. And then do the look at that. And then you're going to ask your dog, like, do you want to go one step closer? And then you take one step. And that is literally one step. In my classes, if I say take one step, somebody will always go like 1, 2, 3. I'm like, that's 3 steps. And there's a lot of distance you can cover in 3 steps. So you go one step. And if your dog goes with you, they're ready to go closer. If they're not, then you go back to them. And with your dog, I don't know if it's like an excited, like, oh my gosh, there's a dog and I want to go play and I want to go see it. Or if it's like a reactive type of behavior that is fear. So if it's like fear, anxiety, something like that, then I would do the engage, disengage. If it's a younger like puppy that just wants to like go crazy because it sees another dog and it wants to go play, then I would do a little bit more impulse control, like wait, like, okay, you sit and wait, and then we'll go up and see the dog. But as long as you're acting crazy, we're not going to move. So I would do things a little bit different depending on the dog. But you could do the same exercise with either dog, with either one, whether it's really excited. It's just teaching the dog a different behavior. So instead of reacting, you're going to be calm and just notice the dog and get rewarded. And then we'll start to go one step further. I also will have people who, once we do that one step, the dog tries to pull towards the other dog. And I say, no, bring your dog back. Like, your dog doesn't take you closer to the dog. You decide when you're going to go closer. And you take that one step and then you do the exercise again. And you're like, oh, look at the dog. Click, treat. Like, look at that dog. Click, treat. And when your dog is like calm, can disengage, look at you, isn't like super hyper focused on the other dog, then you can say, okay, are you ready to go closer again? And once we get about 4 feet away, then I'll say, okay, go ahead and say hi, depending on the other dog. And depending on your dog. If your dog's like really friendly and just wants to get up there and say hi, and the other dog's friendly, then it's okay to go let him say hi. So yeah, I would do the engage, disengage, teach the impulse control. Like, I'll teach a sit and wait before you can go greet somebody or greet another dog. And then when you're calm. The other thing I would do is maybe do the relaxation protocol, which you can start inside. So you start it like in your living room and then do it in different rooms of the house. And what this does is it teaches your dog how to be calm with increasing distractions. So you literally start first teaching your dog to go to a mat or place or bed, whatever you want to call it. And then once your dog is settled, like, let's see if I can do this without ruining. So if you can see Jade, I mean, she's tired, but she's pretty settled right now. And then I would start with 5 seconds, click and treat. And then you go 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then you start to walk away. Then you start to add in distractions like knocking on the door, having somebody walk in the room. And then you can add in your own levels, like, but it just teaches the dog how to be calm. So then you can, after you get through all the levels, like I think there's 17, then you can take it out and do it on your porch, do it outside. And I would actually take the bed or the mat out and do it outside. But then that can carry over into on your walks. So then your dog learns, oh, there's a distraction, there's a dog, but I know how to be calm. And I also know that if I look away and look at my owner, I get rewarded for that. So those are the 2 things that I would do. But again, if your dog is reacting and not taking the best treats, then you need to increase distance. So that just means your dog is too close, your dog's over threshold, and so you need to increase. And when you say let's go, the distance that you go is whatever distance you need to go so that your dog can focus on you and take treats, if that makes sense. So yeah, great question. I deal with that stuff like every day. And also, Kelly, we didn't redo that one. We are going to be redoing the reactive dog course. So and the one that is up there now is great. This one will have probably even more information once we get it done. It'll still be a while, but yeah, everything that I've talked about is in that reactive dog course. So the relaxation protocol, the look at that, it's all in that course. And I'm happy to send you the handouts too. So, okay. So Travis, so your dog has really bad anxiety now. I'm constantly trying to praise her when I go out of an area such as my neighbor's yard to their house or leaving the gate, despite if there is another dog to play with. So Travis, remind me how old your dog is. If your dog has really, really bad anxiety, and you might want to talk to your vet about medication, like some anti-anxiety medication. Because if she's at such a heightened state of anxiety, then she can't learn. So it's kind of like, with humans, some people need anti-anxiety medicine, and then they go to therapy and they learn how to cope with things. But if they're always in this heightened state of anxiety, then they can't really implement the things they're learning at therapy because they're always anxious. So sometimes medication and training work really well together. I don't ever recommend, well, I'm not going to say that because I'm not a vet, but I don't like to just recommend medications for puppies, because I think they're still like learning. But if I remember right, your dog's a little bit like older than a puppy, so like over a year. And sometimes, and I'm not saying that you do this because I haven't seen what you do, but sometimes pray, and not even really praising, but okay, I'll just give you an example, because I think praising your dog for like walking out of a certain area and doing it is great, like just reinforcing that. But you don't want to reinforce like anxiety. Does that make sense? So, okay, I'll give you an example. Puppy class. Hey, Emily. I'm going to write Emily down really quick. In puppy class, if we have a dog that's kind of anxious around other dogs and is hiding behind its owner, I will tell the owner to pick up their dog. But I say, don't coddle them or baby them. Like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. Mom's got you. I won't let the dogs get you. Because then what can happen is that becomes reinforcing for the dog. And so then they're like, oh, if I act scared and like whine or yip, then my owner will pick me up and baby me. And then the dog never learns how to deal with stress. So you want to be careful. So like just praising and saying, oh, good job. Good. We're walking through the gate. Good job. And you can even drop a treat or two in front of her. So that's fine. But you do want to make sure, and I think I was guilty of this with my Michael Vick dog, actually. This was before I was a trainer. But every time we did like a public event, I was constantly like coddling her and trying to reassure her and like, oh, it's fine. It's okay. And oh, you're being so good. Such a good girl. And I would give her treats, and I would let people always want to pet her and meet her. And so I'd let them give her treats. But she never really got totally comfortable being in public events because I think I babied her too much, looking back. And when we would get home, then she was a different dog. She's like, oh my gosh, I just did this amazing thing, and I just went to this event and nothing bad happened. And then she'd get the zoomies, and she was like so proud of herself. So I think it was good for her to develop some confidence, but definitely while we were there, I was like a helicopter mom. Like I was just making sure she was calm and making sure she was okay. And so she kind of would feed off that. It's like, oh, if I tuck my tail and act scared, mom will baby me. Does that make sense? And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but just make sure that that it's just praise. That it's not like coddling or babying or anything like that, because that can lead to learned helplessness where the dog just doesn't know how to deal with stress. And another thing you could do is just make it like it's no big deal. Like, oh my gosh, you just went through a gate. Good job. Give him a treat. Give her a treat. And then walk on. And kind of do that. And then I think you could probably do the relaxation protocol as well. If I haven't already sent that to you, email me and I will. And just teaching her how to relax on a mat, first inside and then outside and then on walks, around other people, around first no dogs and then dogs. So you actually want to start with no distractions and then start to add in the distractions. So so you could try that too. And if you want to email me, I'll send you those. Yeah, so Karen, try that. Turning, like doing the left turn, big circles. Okay. Okay, let me just, I am going to just scroll ahead. Okay, I just wanted to look and see. So yeah, Travis's dog is 3. Um, and Travis, has she always had this kind of anxiety, or is this something new? Because I mean, now she is kind of getting to that adult stage. So 3 is kind of when they're, depending on the breed and stuff, it's kind of when they get out of adolescence, and teenage into adult. So I would be curious if this has been going on and getting worse, or if this is something brand new. And either way, like if the anxiety is really bad, I think at 3, I would seek a vet and just say, my dog is anxious all the time, no matter what. And I would still work through the relaxation protocol. But I would maybe add on some anti-anxiety meds. You could try CBD, or a medication that the vet prescribes. So yeah, it might actually really benefit to do both at the same time. Okay. Okay, let me scroll back down to where I was. So Kelly, to take this one step further, when you say call off your dog, so what I just explained is what I would do on leash. If the dog is off leash and your dog is running towards another dog, then I use what's called a flight cue, and that's like an emergency recall. And I use a treat. I use a really high value treat that my dogs never, ever, ever get any other time. So it is like their own Thanksgiving dinner, or their own, like, oh my gosh, it's Christmas. So like when you say Christmas, you have whatever comes to your mind. It only comes once a year. You get a tree, you get good food, you get presents. So I use a word that means you get gizzards. That's what I use for my high value treats, is gizzards. And I cut them up and then freeze them. And then I start with no distractions, and I start with like the word retreat, and I throw the treats behind the dog so that they learn to turn and go the other way. And then it's best party and treats ever. So it's like, oh, good dog, let's go this way. So it's like really fun, really high value treats that they only get. So you could use like hot dogs, boiled chicken, but then your dog can never have hot dogs any other time. They can only have them when they hear their flight cue. And it literally teaches the dog. So if the dog's like sees another dog and is going, and you say retreat, we want the dog to go boom and go this way. Because it's like, oh, okay, sorry, other dog, I really want to come see you, but hey, we're having Thanksgiving over here, so I'm going this way. And that's basically how you want to train it. I do it when I'm walking reactive dogs, I do it on every single walk multiple times. And I do carry 2 different kinds of treats with me, because I really want the dog to just have it in its muscle memory. So there's a dog that I've been working with for over a year. And now when we say retreat, that dog flips around the other way so quick. And we can do it in the presence of squirrels, other dogs, birds. Like this dog hates other dogs and would probably kill a squirrel or a bird. But if he starts to go, then we use the retreat. And I would teach it on leash first, like 100 times before you try it off leash, so that you can really reinforce that over and over and over again, so that then if you do need it off leash, then your dog will do it. And so if you email me for handouts, Kelly, just put flight cue. So just say that you want relaxation, look at that, and flight cue, and I'll know what to send you. Okay. Oh, yeah, Karen, I don't think you're reinforcing the lunge. I think your dog's just getting kind of savvy to like, I pull and then come back and get a treat. So the only way you'd be reinforcing the lunging is if you're treating out here while the dog is lunging. I think you're still doing it right. And now knowing that your dog's only 16 weeks, I'm going to start writing down. The problem is I do these in different spots every week, so I don't always have my notes. But I need to start writing down like how old your dogs are. Now knowing that your dog's only 16 weeks, that's just like normal puppy thing. But yeah, and some people would throw the treat out in front of the dog, and then the dog would want to lunge forward to get the treat. So you want to drop it like right in front of them or treat right by your side. So yep, I think you're doing great. Okay, so Kelly, so creating space is the best bet when they are so worked up, then trying to refocus. Yes. So move your dog back to where he can like focus on you. My dog is just excited and assumes all other dogs love him too. Yeah, if he's not on leash, he would be gone. No way to call him back. Yeah, I mean, Jade's kind of the same way, but now she's getting to the point, and this is after a year of working with her, to where, you know, if I use her flight cue or a good like leave it, like she will stop. But it's taken a lot of practice. So yes, I think the first thing I would do is create space. And so just say, oh, let's go. So then in your dog's mind, if your dog loves other dogs, it's like, oh, if I act like a crazy maniac, then mom moves me further away. Or Kelly, I shouldn't assume that your mom, because Kelly could be a dad's name too. So sorry. So I'll just say pet parent. So acting crazy is going to make my pet parent move further away. But when I'm calm and just look at the dog, I get closer to the dog. So it's kind of, it is an impulse control game in and of itself. So being calm gets me a reward, gets me a treat, and I get to move closer to the dog that I want to see. If I am acting crazy, then we turn around and go the other way, and so I get further away from what I want to go see. Does that make sense? So that I would still do the same thing. And yeah, 9 months. And you know, the other problem too is you know, with an off-leash puppy running up to another dog, you never know what the other dog's going to be like. So is the other dog you know, going to growl? Is the other dog like, I don't like other dogs and really needs a lot of space? So it's good to do that on leash anyway. Hi, Nicole. That is okay that you're late. I'm glad you joined us. I'm just going to write you down really quick. Okay. Travis, I'll get back to you with these behaviors after I work on getting Mickey more exercise. In this as of late for a year or two, I have a high speed and I'm not living up to her needs, so I know that I have to be more accountable. And all of these worrying behaviors will be gone. Oh, you know what? I'm confused a lot anyway, so that's nothing new. You know, and don't feel bad. So everybody does the best they can, and especially, you know, with COVID. And I'm training a service dog right now, and every day I feel guilty that I don't spend enough time with her. She goes almost everywhere with me, except to clients' houses, but she definitely should be farther along than she should be. But we just do the best we can with what we know and with what time we have. And I think another thing that you could do too is like not be hard on yourself. And if you feel like you don't have time, do some easy stuff like a snuffle mat. Like a snuffle mat is so good for like helping the dog to do species specific behaviors, such as foraging, or take a handful of treats and throw them in the grass and say, go hunt. Doing a lick mat and freezing it. A lick mat and having a dog lick over and over is very stress reducing. That's why some dogs lick their paws until they get hot spots, because they're trying to calm themselves. So even some really little things that you can do would help Mickey a lot. So I went to a Kong conference, or it was a webinar on Monday, and they were talking about like all the benefits of, they were promoting horse, but like doing the stuffed Kong, and they were talking about the benefits of enrichment and, stuffing and freezing. And you can add in, like, the guy that I was working with today says, can I puree carrots? I'm like, absolutely. You could do carrots, broccoli, mix it in with peanut butter, some kibble. Like, you could make your own recipes, stuff a Kong, and then freeze it. And then let Mickey have that. And that's going to be very stress reducing. And then at the same time, like, feed in a snuffle mat, because that's going to teach, or that's going to let her do some nose work. Another thing you could do at home is a flirt pole. So if she goes outside and she's really anxious and she needs more exercise, 5 minutes with a flirt pole would be great for her, because she's going to get to run around, get some energy out, grab a toy, shake. You can play tug. You can teach it, drop it, and then you do it again. So even using, they call them tail teasers too, tail teaser or flirt pole. And I do have, there's a video on YouTube that I really like that teaches the flirt pole. Pupford may have a video as well. I don't know if they've ever filmed somebody using a flirt pole. But there's a link to a really good one that I can send you if you want to email me. And I'll just send that to you. And you can get them. Pupford sells them. And they work great. That's what I use to demo a flirt pole with my clients. You can also get them on Amazon, although I do like the Pupford ones better because they're retractable. So I'm not carrying this great big long fishing pole looking thing all the time. Or you could make your own. So it's something you can do indoors. I wish I would have had one when I had Hallie. And it's enriching, it's fun, and it's something that she could do, that you could do with her if you don't have a ton of time. So yeah, don't beat yourself up. I think we all feel like, oh my gosh, we need to spend more time with our dogs. I know I feel like that, and she's with me like a lot. But I have 3 other dogs at home that I always feel like, oh, I'm not spending enough time, and I'm not training you as much as I should be. So yeah, just start out with one little thing. Just say, okay, I'm going to feed Mickey in a snuffle mat every day, and just start with that little thing. And then do like, okay, I'm going to do 5 minutes with a bottle. So you can save these bottles, throw some kibble and treats in here, put the lid on, and then I'll take a knife and like punch some holes, like 3 holes, just big enough for 1 piece of kibble, and give it to your dog. And the dogs like the crunch, but then they have to figure out how to move it around and get the treats to fall out. And it's enriching for them. They can tear the bottle apart if they want to, but it's also going to increase confidence and problem solve. So problem solving is really good for dogs that have anxiety. So yeah, just do those short little things, and see if that makes a difference as well. Okay, Julie, any advice for a 9-month-old puppy that will chew anything that she can get her mouth on? Yes. So the first thing is always supervision. So you could tether, her to you, or have like the X pen, the big pen. If you don't catch her chewing, there's really nothing, because she's just chewing. She could be chewing out of boredom, or she could just be chewing because I'm sure she has enough toys. But what I do is, if I catch her chewing on something, or my dogs, I'll say, hey, and then I'll do a trade. No, not really, Jade. You're fine. Go to sleep. And then I'll say, oh, you can't chew on that, but here's your toy. You can chew on this. So you constantly like teach them, like interrupt, not in a negative way, because the dog's really not doing anything wrong. He's just being a dog and chewing. So it's like, oh, you can't chew on my shoe, but here you can chew on your Kong, or you can chew on your Nylabone or your bully stick or something like that. So you do have to constantly catch them, interrupt, and replace. So teach them what they can chew on. If you can't supervise, then like if you have stuff to do, then I would tether the dog to you. So, and then give him something to chew on laying by your side, or I would crate. So that way, she can't practice that unwanted behavior. So she can't go off and chew everything that she, can get a hold of. So that's what I would do. It's kind of a management type of thing where you have to manage. The other thing, like a client today said, oh, my dog loves to chew my shoes. I'm like, then don't leave your shoes out. And the first rule is really always management. So I don't leave stuff out that I think my dogs would chew on. I can leave shoes out. They don't care about shoes. They will not chew those. They're all of mine are pretty much to that age now where they don't chew on stuff anymore, but I've gone through 3 remote controls that they chewed up. So they just kind of go through a phase. And then make sure that your dog's getting plenty of mental enrichment too. I know I harp on that a lot, but some dogs will chew on stuff out of boredom. So make sure they have a good rope toy to chew on, because they can really sink their teeth into that. Stuffed Kong. You know what I didn't know about Kong that I learned on Monday is they have the different, they have the different colors, but the colors correspond with how squishy they are. So like the blue and pink, like little pacifier ones, those are for puppies that they can bite down on them. The red, then they have purple. I didn't know they had purple. Is my favorite color. So I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys have purple Kongs. The purple one is for the senior dogs. So it's softer for them, that like Maddie's teeth are worn down. So for older senior dogs that have not as good teeth or missing teeth, it's softer. So I will be getting Maddie a purple Kong. And then they have the red ones. This is a Kong wobbler, but they have the red ones that are just like normal. And then they have the black ones, which is the super chewer. So get the one that's appropriate for a 9-month-old. I would either do the blue or pink or the red one, and let them chew on that. And it's fun. It's more fun for them to chew if there's stuff inside, so they're licking it out and chewing and things like that. So management, making sure that she has plenty of other stuff to chew on. And especially for chewers, I love the rope toys just because they can really sink their teeth in. And then if you can't supervise, crate or tether her to you. So the other thing that you could do, if your dog has a lot of toys, then I rotate. So Travis, you're not crazy. I have a lot of I spend more money on my dogs than I do myself. And every time I go to a pet store, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get that for my dog. I mean, we have so many toys, but I rotate them. So I give them like 3 a day. And I've had the same toys for like 2 or 3 years, but I rotate them. And so, like, they'll get three on one day, and then the next day they get three different ones, and the next day, three different ones. Um, and then I'll start to mix and match, like mix them up. And so by day 4, I give them one that they've had on day 1, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love that toy." It's kind of like when you clean out your closet and you forget you had something, and you're like, "Oh, I love that. I forgot I had it." So, like springtime at our house, when the snow's melted, they bring all these toys in that have been covered up by the snow and they've been outside all winter. Um, but yeah, I'll gather them and rotate them, and that seems to keep them in the dog's mind new. So it's like, oh yeah, I forgot I had this. I love this thing. So if you have like, I probably have told this before, but it's kind of like my nephews and niece. They had everything in the world and they don't play with any of it. I mean, they're older now, so they're not into the toys. But so if they have like 30 toys laying around, like they can have access anytime they want, so they don't really play. But if you give them like a few at a time and then rotate them, then it's always new and it's always fun. So, yeah. Oh, Karen, party time. Yes, that's, you've probably heard me talk about that before. That's the flight cue that my one of my clients came up with, is party time. So Travis, if this is a new behavior, I would almost recommend taking Mickey to the vet and seeing if there's not some underlying medical thing that's going on. Because whenever we have new behaviors, and if you can trace it back to like, oh yeah, this scared the crap out of Mickey, or yeah, this all started when this happened. If it's just all of a sudden starting to appear and you're not sure why, I would maybe go in for a vet check and just say, my dog is suddenly like really anxious, and this is what we're seeing. And they may draw blood and just see if there's anything going on, or they may prescribe some anti-anxiety medicine. But yeah, if Mickey's 3 and this is brand new, then the first thing we always want to do is rule out medical and see if there's not something causing it. Because if it is, they'll give you some meds and then clear it up. And then, you can still do the relaxation and some of that just to help, which might not be a bad idea anyway. But, on the flip side, if it's something medical and you're doing all of this behavior modification and it's not getting better, it's because we're not addressing the reason why it's happening, which could be a medical reason. So especially during the pandemic, since I'm always around her, she was at daycare and wouldn't play, just waiting for me at the gate. They told me that she wants to participate but doesn't. Yeah, so I mean, it could be that she doesn't really know how to play. And I would maybe see if you can get, instead of doing like daycare where there's a lot of dogs and sometimes it can be overwhelming. Daphne loves other dogs, and every dog I bring home, she's great with. But if I took her to daycare where there's 30 dogs, she would lose her mind. Like, that's more than she can handle. And then she starts like kind of snapping at other dogs because she feels overwhelmed. So she does not do well in those situations at all. So I keep her in small play groups, meaning no more than 4. And 3 of those are her sisters. Well, 2 sisters and a brother. And then maybe 1 client's dog. So maybe try smaller play groups or just like 1 other dog and see how she does with that. And yes, the pandemic definitely made dogs, we see a lot of separation anxiety now, other kinds of anxiety that results from like lack of socialization, things like that. And you can still work through them. You definitely can still work through them. But I think for you, I would recommend going to the vet first and ruling that out. And then while you're there, see if your vet would be up for doing some anti-anxiety meds and then go from there. Oh, so Nicole, do you have the blue and pink one? The pacifier one? So yeah, if it said not to use after 9 months, then after 9 months, then you want to go to the red one. Or if you have super chewers like me, I go to the black ones. So those are the ones I use. Julie has the red ones. So, okay, and Karen says, I push a yak stick into the Kong, leaving half sticking out. Oh, what a good idea. So your yak chews must be big enough, because I think the end of my Kongs are pretty big to where I would almost have to do peanut butter first and then stick the yak chew in. And then I would freeze it. So the peanut butter's still frozen, but the yak chew's sticking out. And you could do the same thing with a bully stick. Like do the peanut butter thing. And I'm using baby food now as well. So a lot of times I'll mix up baby food, peanut butter, pumpkin, and throw in some kibble. I always like to throw in carrots and broccoli so that they're getting some good nutrition, and then freeze it. But yeah, you could stick a yak chew in there or a bully stick. At the shelter, we used to use the big dog bones because we used to get them donated all the time. So we'd stick a dog bone in there. And yeah, there's lots of things that you could do with a Kong. So Karen, for the small Kongs, those are great as long as you have a small dog. And the reason that I say that is, and sorry, for those of you guys that come every week, have probably heard this story a zillion times. But when I worked at a vet clinic, we had a dog come in and the guy said, I gave my dog a roast bone and now, is not eating and is acting really lethargic, like yada, yada. So we opened up the dog and yes, we found a roast bone that was almost perforating an intestine. But then the vet said, what does that look like to you? And right there in the esophagus, I'm like, that looks like a Kong. I mean, you could see it. It looked like a Kong. And the dog had swallowed the Kong whole. So if you're not sure which size, go to the next bigger size, because we don't want them swallowing it, because it does get stuck and then the dog wasn't eating and was trying to throw up but couldn't. So as long as you have like a really small dog, like a Yorkie or a Maltese or something like that, the small ones are great. But if you have a dog that's going to grow or is bigger, then I would always go a size up, just because now I worry about a dog. I mean, and this dog was just your regular golden retriever and had the regular sized red Kong and swallowed it whole. Never seen it before, never seen it since. But it was enough to kind of make me nervous. I went out and bought like the next size bigger Kong so my dogs couldn't swallow them. Okay, so she's, yeah, so under 20 pounds, you're fine. And then you take it, yeah. Yeah, I don't mean to scare people when I tell these stories, but it's just so that you guys can keep your dog safe and don't have the same things happen that I've seen happen. In all my years of working with dogs, that's the only time I've ever seen a dog actually swallow a whole Kong. So I did have a dog come in that the owner was playing fetch and threw the tennis ball and the dog caught it and it lodged like right here in the throat. And she couldn't get it out, so she rushed the dog to the vet and we were able to get the tennis ball out. But yeah, it's pretty scary. So when I play, I use a chuck it, and I just make sure I chuck it so that my dog has to chase it instead of like, this dog caught the ball in the air and it was going so fast that it just went right in and lodged right there. Again, only time I've ever seen it. It was crazy. Okay. So let's do a drawing since we don't have any other questions. And then if we have some more come in, I'm happy to answer them. Okay. I just need to put all these in the bowl and draw. Okay, and tonight's winner is Travis Olson. So congratulations, Travis. Travis, I can't remember where you're from. Remind me again where you're from. Just because I will be emailing Pupford and telling them that you're the winner. So what you're going to do is email hello@pupford.com, and I just spelled that wrong. And actually, Travis, I do have where you're from at home in my other book. So you're going to email hello@pupford.com, and I will email them and let them know that you're the winner, and then they will send you a free bag of training treats, so you can pick which kind you want. I know, Karen, I'm still working on it. She's actually, just in the past 2 weeks, she's gotten a lot better at like picking stuff up and bringing it to me. But that's just like one item at a time. So now I have to work on putting a bunch of names in a bowl and having her reach in and like just pick one up and not like 5. So yes, we are working on it, and that's going to be a great trick when I get it done, is have her. I don't think she'd do it tonight anyway. She is like zonked out. She's tired. She's had a long day. Okay. So if there's no more questions, we will end, and everybody have a great weekend. Try to stay cool. I know it's hotter than crap here. Oh yeah, 5 winners. What a great idea. I think Pepper would fire me if I did that. Oh, by the way, we have 5 winners tonight that you're going to send treats out to. Maybe if I showed them Jade's trick, though, they'd think that it's cute and let me have 5 winners. So, so I'll see you guys next Wednesday, same time, same place, and have a great week. And as always, I do try and get on the Pupford community every day for like 15-20 minutes and answer questions, and you're always welcome to email me. If you want any of the handouts, please email me. And I'll be happy to send those to you. So everybody have a great week, and I'll see you next week.